Jamie. We have a tornado warning that was just issued, so we want to get you that information right away here. Let me zoom in on where this is coming to you. It is in Muhlenberg County, so we want to zoom in a little bit tighter on that there so you can see some of the communities included in this warning. It's that little red box you can see. So this is in southeastern Muhlenberg County, heading up toward Rochester there. So let's go ahead and get some information on that warning to make sure we have all of the information here. So this tornado warning is for southeastern Muhlenberg County, and that's going to go until noon. So right now, that warning is issued to go until noon. And again, this is moving to the northeast. Byron Douglas is here with me. He'll have a speed for us in just a moment if he can get the information about that warning for me so that we can get a better feel for the track. This is moving to the northeast rather quickly. I will mention that the Weather Service in Paducah issues up to this point, and then it moves into the area that's covered by Louisville. So you can see they just added another warning there to continue it into. These are two different stations there, two different areas that they have to cover. So that's part of why that's a little bit broken up, but it's all for one big storm. So if we move to the northeast here so that you can see just a little bit better, that warning then also continues into Ohio County now. So we've got that warning issued for Muhlenberg County heading to the northeast into Ohio County now. I'm going to click on that one if I can to get a better feel for what exactly is going on in Ohio County there. They've also issued a warning there until noon. So again, this is one big warning, although it does break up at the county line just due to being two different National Weather Service offices. This is moving to the northeast rather quickly, so it is currently in southeastern Muhlenberg County, but it is expected to quickly cross out of Muhlenberg County into Ohio County, and this storm does go until noon. Byron Douglas is in the Weather Center right now. Byron, do you have any other information for me?
Well, that goes until noon. You need to get in your tornado-safe shelter there, so that's just clearing central. You get into Greenville and then over to Central City. So if you're on Rockport in the Kentucky side, Highway 62, Eccles, southern areas there of Ohio County, that's radar indicated right up over Rochester here, east there of Greenville, and that's where you're seeing the rotation there. And right along as you go into the Muhlenberg, Ohio County line. Centertown is in the warning, Hartford, Beaver Dam, all the major cities and towns there in Ohio County, and that's going to go until noon. And within that, you can see those winds there at 70 to 80 miles an hour along that leading edge. Hartford, Centertown, look, up until noon, it's not going to be safe to be on the road, so you need to be off the roads. And if you live in a manufactured home, mobile home, you need to get to your safe spot. And if you're on the roadways or in a manufacturer, you need to get to a restaurant indoors, away from windows, as many rooms as you can, along with that warning there. So it's right along that Muhlenberg, Ohio County line, and that goes until noon. And then we'll do a little forecasting here. Hartford, Centertown, we'll have some times of arrival. We'll send it back to Art.
All right, thank you, Byron. Yeah, very good information there. Some good advice for you there. As he said, the roadway is not a safe place to be. Manufactured or mobile homes, also not a good idea. You need to be moving into a very stable, secure building and getting indoors away from windows. So at the center point of that building, wherever you are taking shelter there. So let's clear some of that information away so we can get a better look at the velocity. So we're going to take a look at the winds within this storm. And again, you're going to be looking for winds of two different color where they're right up against each other. So where you've got winds of two different speeds, ideally two different directions, would be a good indication of some circulation. It looks like we may have something like that, as Byron said, right along the county line there between Muhlenberg and Ohio counties. This would be just near or just to the north of Rochester there. And again, this storm is moving rather quickly to the northeast. So southeastern Muhlenberg County, absolutely, you need to be in your safe place until you're given the all clear. But this is very quickly moving into Ohio County. So as far as being ahead of it, Ohio County, you need to be seeking shelter in your safe place at this time. And again, that would be in a secure, well-built building. So we're not talking about getting under overpasses or anything like that. You don't want to be in a car. You want to move into a secure building, no mobile homes, no manufactured homes if possible. Get into a brick building, a basement, lowest level, away from windows, a sort of standard tornado warning procedure here. We just had the statewide tornado drill, so hopefully you practiced that. Now let's put that practice into effect here, as we do have that rotation that's showing up there just now, beginning to cross out of Muhlenberg County and into portions of Ohio County. Let's zoom in a little bit tighter on that, see if we can get a few more communities to show up here and get a better idea of some of the areas to call out. Right over Eccles, he's saying.
It's 12:45.
I'm having trouble getting it to zoom in any tighter for us here. There we go. I'm trying to get a better feel for some of the areas that we really want to highlight here. If there's Eccles, as Byron was just calling out, up along Highway 62 and 85, right there by Rockport, getting into McHenry there, as we just sort of work our way across the map here. Beaver Dam certainly need to be in your safe spot there as well. Centertown, Hartford. So all of these are areas where you need to be moving into your safe place if this is an area that you are in, as this storm is moving rather quickly to the northeast and will be just right on top of you here pretty soon. So again, this is moving out of Muhlenberg County into Ohio County now. This is a tornado warning until noon. So for the next half hour, this storm is going to be making its way through Ohio County. So right now, if you are in these areas that we're talking about here, Eccles, as we said, you are just right under the brunt of it right now, where you're seeing those bright colors side by side. That's an indication of some rotation there, moving through Eccles now and working its way to the northeast. So again, here at this intersection, 231 and 62, right there along where 165 or the Natcher Parkway runs through there. Again, these are all areas where you want to be moving into your safe space as this continues to work its way to the northeast over the next half hour now. And Byron Douglas is going to be checking in with the National Weather Service, see if we're getting any sort of reports or anything like that of any sort of damage or anyone spotting any sort of tornado in that area. But we are seeing an indication of some rotation there. This is radar indicated, but you still want to take it very seriously, as we are seeing an indication of rotation there, moving to the northeast. And Byron, if you get a chance, could you look at the speed on this storm? I know it's moving to the northeast, but do you have the miles per hour that it's moving?
It's about 45 miles an hour. So if you're in Eccles in Rockport, Kentucky, in Ohio County, the center town here, I'm going to put the velocity table over in here. Now Eccles, if it's right over Eccles, just down there, it sits up there on the hill, 1245. Centertown, Highway 85, Rockport, Kentucky, and then Highway 62, all those areas. And then as you go from Centertown down to Eccles and then Rockport, there's Western Elementary out there. You guys need to be in your tornado shelter, away from windows, anywhere there along Highway 62, Hartford, and then into Beaver Dam, McHenry, that holds together, Rosine, Centertown, Highway 85, probably busy here at lunch hour, up towards Big Rivers and those locations. You need to be in your tornado-safe shelter. We have it pinned right up over Eccles. Now, they do these volume scans. It takes a couple of minutes. So Highway 369, Highway 62, 231, Rosine, right along Highway 505, those locations. If there's a tornado there, radar indicated, that's where it would be located. And you can see the evidence here from the velocity. We've taken the rain out from the reflectivity. Stay indoors. You're not going to be able to see it. This is going to be rain wrapped, Arden.
That's exactly right, Byron. We've been talking all morning about the flooding. The storms have had heavy rain within them. So if we go back to the reflectivity, you can see that bright red spot there, that heavy rain. So again, if there is a tornado on the ground, you likely will not be able to see it, as it is going to be raining very heavily within the storm as well. So there will be some rain sort of blocking your view. So don't try and go outside and get a view of this. Be aware you need to be moving into your safe space now. And I'm going to zoom it out just a little bit more and then put a track on it so we can get a better feel for some of the other areas, as we mentioned, that need to be taking shelter now. I'm going to go from this point right here. We said northeast at about 45 miles an hour. If I can get it up there to about 40, 45. Okay, so again, we're looking at McHenry just in the next couple of minutes here. Beaver Dam in the next 10 minutes or so by about 11:40. Hartford shortly after that. And if it's still holding together, Rosine by about 11:50, Sunnydale by 11:54, and then Dundee by 11:58. So right about noon, as it would be then working its way toward the edge of Ohio County and out of our region. But again, all of these places, you need to know that there's a strong storm, potentially a tornado, moving northeast toward your location, and you need to be taking shelter at this time, moving into your safe space. And again, that would be for Ohio County. So for those of you watching across the rest of the tri-state, we're tracking down here in the southeast corner of our region as this storm is moving out of Muhlenberg County into Ohio County. And so we'll be continuing to track this through the duration of this warning, which does last until noon. So I'm going to zoom us back in here so we can again take a closer look at some of what's going on within this storm. We are seeing it moving rather quickly. You can see that rain already starting to indicate that it's sort of moving out of Muhlenberg County a little bit now, and the main focus is over Ohio County as we move forward with this warning.
For Muhlenberg County. So
okay.
I'm happy to report that. And the severe thunderstorm warning's done. So once we get evidence there, it's cleared, we've cleared that warning. The National Weather Service has.
Okay, thank you, Byron. So as he just said, Muhlenberg County, you've now been given the all clear as this storm has moved to the northeast. They've taken Muhlenberg County out of that warning, so now the focus is entirely on Ohio County now as we continue to track this storm moving rather quickly to the northeast there. And again, I'm going to pull up the velocity so we can get a better indication of where some of the strongest winds are. Again, you're seeing that bright red next to that sort of orangish color there, indicating a difference in wind speed and direction there, and possibly some rotation right there to the northeast of Eccles, right around that area, quickly approaching toward Beaver Dam, Hartford, and again, if it holds together, areas along and just west of Rosine would also be included in this. And Jeff Lyons just walked in, so we've got the whole team here, and we'll be tracking this storm for you as it moves through. But again, if you're just joining us, there is a tornado warning for Ohio County until noon. So it was originally for Muhlenberg County. This storm is moving to the northeast. Muhlenberg County has now been removed from that warning. The storm has moved out of Muhlenberg County. So if you are in Muhlenberg County taking shelter, you're now in the all clear. It is safe to come back out of that safe space. But if you're in Ohio County, you still need to be sheltering, as we are very closely watching this storm system as it continues to work its way to the northeast there. I'm going to zoom it in a little tighter. We are just coming right up on Beaver Dam now. Beaver Dam, you need to be in your safe spot if you are not already. And then obviously just to the north of that, it will then quickly also move into Hartford as well. So Beaver Dam and Hartford, as it's now moving through Eccles, out of Eccles into Beaver Dam and Hartford, those two areas definitely need to be in your safe space if you're not already. We are indicating very strong winds and potentially a tornado within this storm system. And again, this warning goes until noon. So while it is moving to the northeast at a pretty good clip, because Ohio County is such a long county, this warning is going to be working its way through Ohio County for the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. I'm going to zoom it back out just a little bit, just to give us some perspective. Once again, this is moving into Beaver Dam and Hartford areas, moving to the northeast at about 45 miles an hour. So I'm going to pan us back up here, give you another track so that we can get, and that change in color was just because it switched radars, just so you know, it's switching to whichever radar is closest. So it's bouncing around as we're right at the edge here. So it just switched to the Louisville radar. That's why you see that change in the color table, but the indication of that rotation still stays the same. Those bright colors right there side by side. So let's put another track on this, moving from this point right here to the northeast at about 45 miles an hour. I'm not going to quite get there because I've got it zoomed in so tight, but this still gives you an indication of some of the areas that this is moving into. Beaver Dam and Hartford, that's the most immediate concern right now, as this is working its way out of Eccles into Beaver Dam and Hartford now. If it continues to hold together and move to the northeast, we'd be talking about Jingo, Sunnydale, Dundee, Megan. Those are areas that you need to be moving into your safe spot now in preparation for the fact that this storm is headed your way. Go ahead and get into a safe spot so that you're ready, as this is moving rather quickly to the northeast. All right, let's clear this out. Go back to the reflectivity just to give you an indication. I'm going to pan back over to the other radar a little bit if I can, because it was getting a better view of the rain. Yeah, go ahead, Byron. Byron's got some information.
There's a tornado warning there for Hancock County, even a heads up in Tell City. So northern Hancock County, very busy, U.S. Highway 60 during this time. You need to be in your tornado-safe shelter. It's not safe to be on the roadways. So what do? You get off the roadway, get to a restaurant, get indoors, get away from wind. It's not safe to be on the roadways until this warning clears. Lewisport, Hawesville, even up into Tell City, really keeping an eye on southern Perry County. Ohio County, Hartford, Beaver Dam, those areas along U.S. Highway 62, tornado warning. But we're keeping an eye also, and we have some additional information on graphics too. Northern stretches there of Hancock County. Small county, but a tornado warning continues there. And then we have some severe thunderstorm warnings out to the west we'll take a look at in a moment.
All right, thank you, Byron. So let's zoom this out a little bit more just to give you a better indication of what he was talking about here, where this warning, while we've been focusing Ohio County, that is the biggest threat right now. This storm is moving to the northeast rather quickly. And so as it does so, there are other areas that are included in this warning. As Byron just mentioned, it gets on up into portions of Hancock County there, as well as the storm continues to move to the northeast. So again, be using this time to get where you need to be to move into that safe space. As Byron just said, if you're listening to us on the radio perhaps, or watching on your mobile app and you are not in a building right now, maybe you're on the road, this is the time to be moving into that safe space. Get off the roads, get into a good, secure, sturdy building, and as you do so, move indoors, then away from windows as best you can into that tornado safe space. So again, let's get the information on this warning one more time, just in case you are just now joining us. I want to make sure everybody has the information. There is a severe thunderstorm warning that still goes until 11:45, but the bigger concern at this point is obviously the tornado warning, which I'm trying to get it to highlight now. It's real fixated on that thunderstorm warning. There we go. The tornado warning goes until noon. That is for Ohio County. That's the main concern right now, but as it moves to the northeast, this does also include portions of Hancock, as well as Breckenridge and Butler counties there. Butler to the southeast, Breckenridge to the east, and Hancock County there. So again, the primary concern right now is in Ohio County, but the storm is moving to the northeast. So Hancock County, you need to be moving into your safe space as well in preparation for the storm approaching your location. And this warning does go until noon. Initially, it was issued for Muhlenberg County as well, but as the storm has moved to the northeast, Muhlenberg County has been removed from the warning. So if you're in Muhlenberg County, you can now come out of your safe spot as you are in the clear. Let's take another look at the velocity if possible. I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter here so we can get a better indication of what's going on. And again, Ohio County is a difficult spot for the radars as we're sort of in between two different radars. So it tries to bounce back and forth a lot as it's trying to figure out the best way to give us that view. I'm going to pan down to where they've just given us this polygon here to give us a better indication of where some of that stronger rotation may be. It's still showing up right around the Beaver Dam area, moving to the northeast. So again, Rosine, you need to be in your safe spot now. Olayton, Dundee, these are areas that need to be in their safe spot as this storm continues to move to the northeast. And then as it starts to work its way toward the edge of Ohio County, it'll move through Fordsville and then on out toward Patesville and other areas to the southeast there in Hancock County before moving out of the tri-state into Breckenridge County. So again, all of those areas I just called out, you need to be in your safe spot at this time as we have a strong thunderstorm with very strong winds and potentially a tornado moving to the northeast right now. I'm going to put another track on this just to give you another indication right along that warning of about 45 miles an hour or so. So Jingo, Dundee, Ralph, Fordsville, Van Zant, Weaverstown, these are all areas that you need to be moving into your safe spot. If you're not there already, take the situation seriously. Again, we're talking about, at the very minimum, some very strong wind and potentially a tornado moving to the northeast right now. I'm going to put another track on this just to give you another indication right along that warning of about 45 miles an hour or so. So Jingo, Dundee, Ralph, Fordsville, Van Zant, Weaverstown, these are all areas that you need to be moving into your safe spot. If you're not there already, take the situation seriously. Again, we're talking about, at the very minimum, some very strong winds, potentially also a tornado within this storm system. So this goes until noon, so we've still got about 20 minutes left. Areas to the southeast of this, if I can clear this off of here, get my clear, and then zoom back in down to the southeast portion of Ohio County. These are areas where the storm is starting to move out now. So earlier we were calling out Eccles as an area of concern, and at that time it certainly was. It does look like this storm system is starting to clear Eccles now, but this is still in place for central and northeastern Ohio counties as it continues to move to the northeast. Just crossing 231. across 165, also known as the Natcher Parkway there, moving into portions of areas east of Hartford around Beaver Dam up toward Rosine, and then heading toward Dundee as you continue to the northeast, and then on into Fordsville. So all of those areas, as Byron mentioned before, your safe spots. What does that mean? It means you need to be moving away from windows, inside a good sturdy building, mobile homes, manufactured homes. Not ideal in this situation. You want to be in a good sturdy, well-built home, something like a brick building if possible. And again, away from windows to the lowest floor, basement if you have one. If not, get in an interior room away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outdoors as you can. The focus, obviously, on this tornado warning, but we've got some severe thunderstorm warnings also lighting up across portions of western Kentucky. So in addition to that tornado warning, that again is primarily for the eastern half of Ohio County and then into the southeastern corner of Hancock County now, we also have some severe thunderstorm warnings along this line that if you were watching 14 News at 11 with us, I had mentioned that line was coming out of Paducah, and we would likely see more warnings as it moves into the tri-state, and that's exactly what's developing here now. We've got some additional warnings coming in to portions of our western Kentucky counties, so let's zoom in a little bit tighter on that and try and give you a better view of some of the areas that are included in that. So it does look like we have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Hopkins and Webster counties, and then another one that includes portions of Illinois stretching over into Union County, Kentucky there. I'm going to try and query those warnings so we can get a better feeling for how long those are set to go for. So again, we still have that tornado warning that is about to expire for Ohio County. Hopefully, those of you in areas like Fordsville have been in your safe place. That storm will be moving out of your area soon, so just sit tight. But we do still have this severe thunderstorm warning now in place for portions of western Kentucky. It is just not wanting to give us that information. But there we go. Severe thunderstorm warning. So again, this stretches outside of the tri-state as well. So you can see Caldwell, Christian, Crittenden, Trigg, Lyon counties all included in this too. But it does include Hopkins and Webster counties here in the tri-state, and that goes until 12:30. So there is a severe thunderstorm warning there. The main concern, check out that wind. Potential for wind speeds of 70 miles an hour as this line of storms works its way into the tri-state. So right now, Dixon, Madisonville, Webster, and Hopkins counties, you are seeing a brief break from the rain. But as this line of storms comes racing into western Kentucky, you could see winds as high as 70 miles an hour, which could be damaging as those storms roll through. So again, even though it's not a tornado warning, I would still urge you to not be standing near the windows. Move into a good sturdy building away from windows if possible, just because that kind of wind could certainly cause some damage, have trees come down, things like that. You don't want to be anywhere near the windows when something like that happens. Let's zoom it back out a little bit here. As I said, we also have another severe thunderstorm warning that includes portions of Illinois. So let's take a closer look at that one if we can. It does look like that tornado warning has now come off of Ohio County. So if you were in Ohio County and you were seeking shelter for that tornado warning, that has now expired, and you are now safe to come out of your safe place. And Byron Douglas has some more information for us, so let's toss it over to him. What do you have, Byron?
Here in Ohio County, we're keeping an eye. And by the way, those severe thunderstorm warnings that Arden was mentioning, covering Hopkins and then also Webster, as you go from Dixon, Clay down to Madisonville, that's the high end of a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds at 70 miles an hour. They can easily produce a spin-up tornado. So we're going to keep an eye on that line. But Ohio County, and also earlier Muhlenberg, and also we have viewers down in Butler County, Hancock County, you can come out of your tornado safe shelter. It's now safe to be the roadways. And I just checked with the chats there at the National Weather Service. We have not verified any tornadoes so far. The only one that was observed briefly by a spotter generally was east of Paducah. That's a nasty squall line just out to the west there in Madisonville. Dawson Springs is going to get into western areas there of Hopkins County. So we'll keep an eye on that. Clay, Providence, Webster County, as you get down through Dixon and Clay. And then now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Gallatin and also Union County. That's going to cover Uniontown to about the bypass there in Morganfield. Shawneetown there as well. Cave in Rock. And so we have this where they're in linear form So that leading edge there producing some damaging winds. So that line holds together. Additional counties would be Henderson and perhaps Posey, Vandenberg, White County across Illinois. So they're in linear form, but what the National Weather Service does when they crank out these warnings, they're going to give you what they're thinking is on Doppler radar with the observed winds. It's 70 miles an hour. So the threshold for a severe thunderstorm warning is 58. Hail's not a threat today, but those warnings that Arden was tracking, even up towards Tell City and Hawesville, northern stretches there of Hancock County, have now cleared. However, we're still under that tornado watch, which will go until 4. As Jeff will tell you, ingredients are favorable for severe weather. We have that warm front surging across the area. Jeff?
Okay, Byron, and we are doing a sort of an elegant shift change here. Byron's been here since 1 a.m., so Arden is rotated off. You'll see her in the Weather Center. Byron's going to take a much-needed rest. We'll be with you here with these storms that are now moving in from the southwest. We also have an anchor change coming up here at noon on the desk over there, so you'll be seeing Caroline Clapp in just a couple of minutes. We're going to stay with you. These storms are potentially producing damaging wind gusts, and I wanted to kind of zero in on what's happening here over western Kentucky, because you can see this line is pretty intense, and it's just now moving into the western edge of Webster County and also Hopkins County. So you've got some time here, but these things are moving pretty fast at about 50 miles per hour. We'll do a couple of storm tracks on here so you can see when things will be moving into your area. Let's look at Webster County first. And moving at 50, we could expect storms to be into Blackford at 11:56, Wheatcroft at 12:02, and then Providence at about 12:06, and Dixon at 12:12. And then a little farther down the line, same thing applies. We're looking primarily at a damaging wind threat as these storms move in. And as you saw Arden and Byron covering that tornado, we could have tornado spin-ups along the line where we have these little kinks in there. So we're going to stay with you just in case any of those pop up too. The squall line is moving into Providence at 12:06, as we said, Nebo there in Hopkins County by 12:12. And then a little farther down the line, we will go into southern Hopkins County, and again at about 50 miles an hour. Dawson Springs, this line will arrive at about 12:06, and then Madisonville by 12:18. So that's the situation that we have right now. I wanted to switch over here. We're going to look at the wind within these storms, and again we're looking at these from the Paducah radar, showing some pretty intense wind. Remember, it's windy anyway, so these storms, if they can tap into that upper level strong wind, they will be off to the races pretty quickly with regard to damaging winds. Let's move the radar just a bit here now as we look at the Evansville radar. Let's go back out to home here to miles an hour, but given the way the atmosphere is set up, we could see tornado warnings along here too, very rapid spin-up type tornadoes. We are
right now, I'm just reading off some of the reports here, areas outside of the tri-state, because again, it's just now getting to us, but they have had reports of several power poles snapped, trees uprooted, things of that nature in portions of western Kentucky, just outside of the tri-state, as this same line of storms has moved through. So as it continues to move to the northeast, those are kind of be looking for. But again, this storm does have a history of damage, as we have had reports of power poles broken and trees uprooted in other portions of western Kentucky where the line of storms has already moved through. So as it continues to move to the northeast into portions of the tri-state, again, that is the kind of damage that we could potentially be looking at here at home as well. I'll continue to monitor the National Weather Service chat and let you know if they receive any other reports of damage, but so far we have had reports of broken power poles and uprooted trees along this same line, Jeff.
That update. Thanks for that update. And Caroline is looking through our feed right now. We're going to go to her in a second. Let's check out the storm reports that we've had here with the system that's been moving in. And we will just look at all reports. Back here to the west, we've had some wind damage reports. That's what the symbol there is. In Henderson, we've got curb deep flooding. Of course, we've got the flood component to this as well. So A lot here of hazardous weather going on at this time. Let's clear everything off the screen. We will go back to just the traditional radar. Our newest warnings now just issued. If you're in Vanderburgh County, you heard the sirens go off here. They're going off right now. And that severe thunderstorm warning for Vanderburgh County will continue until 1 o'clock. It's important to note that the main threat here is damaging wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour. But given the way the atmosphere is set up, we could see tornado warnings along here too, very rapid spin-up type tornadoes. We are, of course, wanting everybody in Vanderburgh, Henderson, Webster County to move away from windows and be into the interior portion of your home until these storms pass through. And based on their current motion here, we are looking primarily at an arrival time of about 12:30 or so. Let's just do it basically from the front edge of that storm. And as we look here, these are moving. Did you have a motion on that, Arden? About 50, give or take, about 50, 55, wasn't it?
Says moving northeast at 75.
75, okay, so they are definitely tapping into that wind. So let's do a new track here so it will be more accurate. And this is kind of an exceptional setup that we have going on today because of the intense low pressure that's moving in. Now, if we can get the box here right in over the metro area, and then we can do some meaningful tracking here. And first of all, let's look at just where the strongest returns are. Remember, the wind will be out ahead of this by a fair amount. So as we track here at 75 miles an hour, those are fast movers. It will be into the Evansville area here by about 12:23, or in about 20 minutes from now. Fort Branch, 12:27, Poseyville at 12:18. Best thing to do is move away from windows right now while you have some time here, some advance warning, and remain there. Of course, we got schools in session. I'm sure most of those are doing their severe weather procedure right now as well, and this warning will continue until 1 o'clock. For Western Kentucky, the arrival here for the strongest winds will likely be around 12:03. So just in a few minutes. Remember, the wind will be out ahead of where you see those strongest returns. In fact, if we look just at the wind itself, you will see these very bright colors in here indicating wind gusts of perhaps 50 to 60 or greater that will be coming up along with these storms. So back to reflectivity we go. And if you are just tuning in now, the best thing to do is go ahead and get in your safe place. If you're in Vanderburgh, Posey, Henderson County, or Morganfield area there in Union County, and also, of course, Webster and Hopkins, who have been under warnings here for about the last 45 minutes or so. That line going all the way down here, and it will be moving into Dawson Springs here momentarily. Again, we're looking at potentially damaging wind gusts, but we can't rule out a tornado spinning up in this environment either. And I'm going to kind of lead that a little bit with the tracking. So we have Nebo arrival time at 12:10. Dawson Springs here in about 3 minutes at 12:04. Again, we're looking at damaging winds as the main threat. Slaughters, 12:18. Greenville at 12:25. Then up the line, we go into Webster County. Again, same thing. We're looking at arrivals of about 12:08 at Dixon. Roberts at 12:19, 12:20, and then Calhoun there in McLean County. You already had a warning. This is a new one, and that will go until 12:28. Farther up the line we go into Union County and Henderson, 12:19. Howell there on the west side of Evansville by about 12:20, and then downtown Evansville by, or the east side by 12:26. Melody Hill is out by the airport. We will clear all that off, and if you are watching us in any of these locations, you've seen the sky kind of turn back ugly again and notice those winds. Caroline Clapp is actually looking at our social media feeds now for your pictures and reports. And Caroline, what are you hearing?
Yeah, thank you, everyone, for sending those photos and videos. So far this morning,
Okay, I'm sorry, Caroline, we're going to go back. We got to get your mic going there. Just to recap again here, the line of severe thunderstorms moving to the northeast at 70 will reach the Evansville-Henderson area by about 12:20 to 12:25. We're expecting damaging wind gusts of 50 to 70 miles per hour as these move. Remember, the storms themselves are moving at almost 70 miles per hour, so you almost can't miss on having damaging winds. Okay, we got Caroline turned on now. Caroline, what are you seeing on our social media feed?
Yes, we are good to go now. Thank you, everyone who has sent in your photos and videos today. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of flooding pictures and videos. So I want to take you through those that we have seen here.